I'm in a bit like of a dry period right now. Like I'm in a bit of a slump. I've gone cold, and I've always joked I'm like the J.R. Smith of getting laid. Like, it's like when I'm hot, like nothing matters. Like hook shot from 35 feet out, shit's going in.
From the half court line, just shoot it.
Yeah.
It's just like swish.
From the logo, bang! But when I'm
the celebration, just be like, yeah.
running off with the one in the air.
Yep.
But when I'm cold, it's an ugly fucking scene.
It's cold.
And it'll go for a stretch.
Yeah.
And I'm in like that stretch right now. Like, I don't think I've gotten laid in like a month or so. And I'm trying to like I've talked about this before, I'm trying to recalibrate, but like specifically like when I get cold, like I'm not putting up jumpers this time.
Right.
I'm not desperately trying to get into a rhythm where I'm like trying to pick up girls everywhere I see, or like trying to, keep the streak pushing at the craps table.
Gotcha.
I've decided that I'm just gonna sit.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm just gonna sit back and wait until like, I don't want to say like a girl comes to me, but wait until like there's a clear interest from a girl.
Gotcha.
Without me trying to initiate, and see like, if they'll where they pick up the flirting.
Gotcha.
Where I don't even like create a catalyst. Because I think that's what flirting is, especially when you're a guy.
Yeah.
You gotta initiate.
It's the vibes, right? Like flirting is always kind of like, okay, there's a little something here. Let's see if we can manifest it. It's kind of like it's like a creative spree, right? We're both people who are creative people, right? So we're both people who work within that field. And sometimes you might catch something. You might shoot something, catch an angle, catch a lighting. And next thing you know, like, let me run with this. Let me keep putting this together. And then you might extend it and something comes together and it really starts to be something. But sometimes you'll start something, you'll be like, nah. Not it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll chase those, even when I know it's not good for me, and I'll probably still do that in the future because I'll still trick myself into believing that like this will be okay.
It's one of those things sometimes. Like that's how I got into. I wouldn't say I got like before. I said the whole celibacy thing that one time where it ended up going for 2 fucking years. That wasn't planned. It was just I was talking to someone, then it went cold, and then I looked up. I was just like, man, I'm just gonna focus on this one thing. And I looked up, and next thing I was like, oh fuck, it's been 2 years.
Well, it wasn't planned, but it was a conscious choice, right?
So it became a conscious choice. Because, and it's something I'm still learning today, pursuing full-time your creative endeavor is not always the most appealing thing in the dating market.
Totally.
It is kind of hard because you don't really have stability to a point. And also, somebody won't always be your number one priority. Because then they have to compete with the passion of yours that they had way before you ever knew who they are. So then it becomes a difficult thing, right?
I mean, I think that's what, like, over half the coaches at the ski club are divorced because the ones who have been married, because they're married to snow, they're married to skiing, and like that's always going to come first, and like their problem solving instinct is to go skiing rather than work it out and talk it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever looked at the basketball player Lou Williams, right? He was talking about
of course he's got wings named after him at Magic City.
So he was talking about being retired and understanding why relationships don't work, because he was like, half the times we're not home. We are not home for majority of our career. So then it's like once you get home and you realize, oh, we don't know each other, but we've been together 10, 15 years. And anytime she's upset, I used to give her money to just go shop. And now I can't just give you money to go shop because I don't get paid the same way I used to anymore. So it's like relationships and just dealing with people, it becomes very difficult. And I feel like everybody should go through that period of just chilling on the sideline. Like, there got to be a point where you're not fully dressed for the game. Maybe you're just wearing your suit. Maybe you're just wearing your finest clothes.
And then it becomes a tough reflection thing of personal passions versus romance. And yeah, because you have to be mature enough, stable enough, and forward thinking enough that you're able to balance both.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Take it from me. Take it from me.
And not feel like something is getting sacrificed here, or that you communicated to your partner well enough that your partner understands that I'm gonna have to sacrifice this relationship for a little while, and I still want to be with you, and I still love you, but like something's got to give here for at least a bit.
Also, true, very true, but also it's hard to ask someone to sacrifice, to deal with a sacrifice that they might not be willing to take. Not everybody is flexible, because then it comes to the question of can you understand how much I love this thing? Like, I love this thing almost as much as I love you. Like, I love you, but
and can you be comfortable with that?
Can you be comfortable with that? Because the thing is, look, whether we work or not, I'm gonna still do this thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm still gonna need this.
Right.
We don't have each other.
And it's not always the easiest conversation. And it's some people be like, yeah, of course I can. And then they really start to see it and just like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't understand it was to this level. And you're like, yes, when I told you I need you to understand it. I needed you to understand it. And it's always a learning game, man. Mm-hmm. You always learn. You know what it is? It's always on the job learning with relationships.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
It's always on the job learning, because there's going to be things that come up that you never know, that you don't know how to. No one can teach you how to deal with it.
And I think of my parents, who are like the most in love I've ever seen two people, the fucking bastards. Mm-hmm. My sister and I joke about it, and like, love to all like my homies who have divorced parents or grew up in a single parent household or whatever. Like, you have your own set of issues. I'm not trying to compare and contrast here, but like my sister and I have talked about, it's a very high bar. Like, yeah, we have to match. But that's not even the point here. The point here is there was 10 years where my dad was really enthralled in his career, and my dad had his own business. And he was in the fur and leather business, and was working with names we all know, right? Which included, like, he had to go to the club a lot. Like, he drove this motherfucker drove an H2 yellow Hummer, and he would come home from the club at 7:30 to pick me up to drive me to school.
That's love.
My sister and I to school.
That is the love. So listen, that's love. I gotta love my kid.
Yeah, it's. I went to 5th grade with a blue mink fur coat that said 50 Cent in red fur in the back, because he was designing for their music videos at the time.
Right.
And he's like, "This will be fun," but obviously, that's not good for a relationship.
No.
Like, and my mom and dad struggled for like 10 years, like through my childhood, through like, I would say like up to like my mid-teens ish.
Right.
And now, there's been a lot of work to fix it. And my dad, like, as his business waned off, increased the amount of love he was putting into his relationship.
Yeah.
And my dad, who's not a touchy-feely guy, has been like open about this. And it goes back to like you have to have the willing when you see something broken, a willingness to fix it rather than throw it away.
And also I think this is also just the change of the generations, right? This is the change of it, because we have access to go get somebody new if we don't want to so fast. And like that's the thing. It's just like sometimes we also live on this scale of like we get to see everybody's highlights of their relationship. So everything looks beautiful. And then it's like, why can't my relationship look this beautiful? And it's like, you don't know what these people really go through. They just post it on Instagram. You just don't know. So it becomes that issue, and it becomes this thing of
let's keep it a buck though. Like cheating isn't a new development in the world.
I'm not talking about cheating only. I mean the view of like you get like
even the potential.
The potential. Okay. We all fall in love with potential, but we don't understand that potential takes a lot of falls and it takes a lot of hits to get there.
Yeah.
Like people can be like, oh, relationship goals. You do not know what they had to do, how many arguments, how many times he was not.
I mean, that's what a goal is work towards something. It's a lot of work. Like a goal is never achieved in a single step.
And a lot of people don't always want to work.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like I'm having a nightmare, a legit nightmare about my favorite ex situationship. She was introducing the new NXT Money in the Bank at Money in the Bank specific. This is an actual nightmare. Like it's not real.
I can see your face. Like my face is just like, wait.
No, this is a real nightmare I had while asleep. And I would. NXT had a New Year's Day pay-per-view, and on the New Year's Day pay-per-view they introduced a Money in the Bank specific briefcase, and my ex situationship was the one to like present it,
right,
and like bring it out and like put it on the thing, and then Bo Dallas came out and like made out with her in an internationally streamed WWE pay-per-view. And like, I have a problem with nightmares. Like, that's just a thing I got. I woke up from this one in a start. Like only the worst ones I do have.
You woke up in a cold sweat, just a puddle around you.
Fucking believe in Bo? Believe in Bo?
He's like, I'm gonna make her believe.
Oh, fucking hell. I would have rather had it been almost anybody else, actually. Like, I couldn't have thought of like a worse one. Maybe Kane.
I was gonna say Ric Flair, and that probably would have made you.
No, Ric Flair, because like we're looking at a lifetime of Ric Flair like stealing dudes' girlfriends. Like,
yeah,
all right.
But Ric Flair at 8, like I almost had a heart attack at my.
But that's another thing. It's like if you're gonna hook up and like date 80-year-old Ric Flair, octogenarian ass Ric Flair, and be like, "Yup, this is who I want," instead of me, instead of Jack. That shit hurts. I would have been more okay with that. I would have been more okay with John Cena. I would have been more okay with. Fuck, who else? John Cena. Anybody else? Bo Dallas. Bo fucking Dallas.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That is an L. That is an L.
It's so tough, bro. It's so. She was like the new NXT girl too. Oh my god! I woke up and wanted to walk into a bonfire. Welcome to Wrestling with Wromance, everybody.
I'm your co-host, Life with Kadeem, and I'm joined by
Jack Simon. Needs to wishes he had less nightmares. Honestly, I wish I had like the different nightmares like than that one.
I'm gonna have to get you like a dream catcher or some shit, like for real. So that way, because that is insane.
What's on your heart today, Dean? It was so good.
Man,
what's on your heart?
Life's been lifing a lot, as you know. Life has just been lifing. But honestly, man, I'm like, look, I'm one of those wrestling fans. I am not like Mr. Give me storyline, give me drama. Like it's cool. You know what I mean? It's like adding bacon on top of a
Yeah,
burger.
I'm
You know?
probably a little
I
bit
like
more
it.
than that. I'm
Yeah.
probably more that way than you are, but I'm still not all the way into like Vince Russo. We should never have a match.
Yeah. I'm more of give me matches. You know what I mean? And man,
Yeah,
has it been a wrestling heavy few weeks of wrestling, man. Like last week of wrestling. Like um I like I don't know if it was just me, but there was something weird with that fucking crowd for AEW because I was like, that was a good show, but this crowd is weird. Like this crowd is weird. Last week, it was just like the crowd was weird for me, but it was a really good show. I loved everything. I really enjoyed everything. And then Raw. Well, first of all, I'll give WWE this credit for sure. I watched Backlash on Monday, and that fucking crowd. Look, I don't say this often because I think I feel weird saying this. I almost never want to go to American pay per view ever. Like I almost want to get my passport just to go to overseas shows. Because I don't know if you saw the crowd.
crowd was lit. I
But it was
saw.
different.
Yeah, I mean every audience is going. I mean state to state, there's less difference than there obviously used to be in the territory days.
Mm-hmm.
But even there's, you got to play it a different way. But yeah, country to country is crazy.
Yeah, because they were not quiet for any match. Every match was like the greatest match they ever saw. Like they had the soccer chants going on for Cody AJ, and it was just crazy. It was just like jumping, like I was like, holy shit! And then they went back on Monday to like Connecticut, and they was doing the what chants. And I was like, I fucking hate America.
I hate that what shit more than anything. I
But
can't believe it's still around.
I,
I
there's
feel like it's died so many times and just has never been buried.
what chants are the cockroaches of wrestling? Like you think you killed it with like a nuclear bomb, but no, that bitch is still just crawling around somewhere, just waiting.
What chance? This is awesome. I hate the "this is awesome" chant. I think I hate it because it became so commonplace in like the tens.
Yeah,
Like where it became like almost every match had like a "this is all." No, actually, and this is gonna hurt some folk, but I'm so sorry has to happen. Like kind of late aughts, early tens Ring of Honor too, where it was like crowds were just that fan base was so rabid, and like they were just like so excited to see like different wrestling that they were just chanting it at everything. Like, and there
yeah.
was a while too where every single match was going on. And I remember because I tried to get into that stuff towards the later stage of my fandom before I like took a break in like high
Mm-hmm.
school. And every match was like 3 to 5 minutes of chain wrestling that ended in a stalemate and the crowd chanting, "This is awesome." This and like it wasn't great chain wrestling. Like it wasn't, it was just kind of boring.
I
Fucking
can understand
boring.
that.
Like, and it's just something I've seen so many times before, and they would do that for 5 minutes.
And then
And
you just
then
stand. I know you. You're like, this is what you think is fucking awesome. Yeah, like this.
yeah, and then they would go into their like sequences where they would both nearly miss a signature move, and then the crowd would chant both these guys. And
I'm
I'm
not
like,
gonna lie. There are moments where some of these chants do come up. Like, okay, um, like I love the French crowd because it was just so crazy. But then I think back to Dynasty when it was Danielson versus Osprey, and like the chants like the "We're not worthy," like
we're
the
not.
"We're
That's,
not."
that's great. I love that shit.
I love that. Like there's chants like that I do love, but there are chants that are kind of played out. I would look at a couple of them and be like, these could change. But to my point, there's just been and then Raw. It was like the most wrestle heavy Raw I've seen in so long. If I'm not mistaken, I think somebody timed it. It was like 70 minutes of actual wrestling on Raw, and I was just shocked. and you had Ilya Dragunov and Rick versus Ricochet, and then you had Sheamus versus Gunther, which is always good to see the meats get slapped. Just the big meaty boys just slapping. And it was great. And honestly, that's all I want. I just want the raps. That's where I'm at right now. Like, look, don't get me wrong, there's some interesting storylines going on. Like, I knew when they said Kenny was appearing, I was like, they're going to jump Kenny. They're going to fucking hurt Kenny. In the middle of fucking Canada, these bastards are going to hurt Kenny. And I was just like, and I knew it. I loved it because now Jungle Boy has some heat, especially because they're back in Canada tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever the fuck it is. So it's like, okay.
Time is a construct. Go on.
It's a construct. But yeah, so it's like, it's cool, but I'm just like, give me the graps, man. Just give me some graps. I want to see what graps is going to be happening tomorrow, what graps is going to be happening on Collision / Rampage, because I ain't going to front. I need the NBA. Listen, I love the NBA, but do I ever need my regular AEW schedule again? I don't want 3-hour AEW. I need my 2-1-2. I need my 2-1-2.
2-1-2. Dragunov Ricochet is like such a good match too. Like that's just good matchmaking. Like people have called Tony Khan like he's not a booker, he's a matchmaker, which I actually kind of agree with. I don't like the way here. Okay, here's my caveat. I actually do agree with it. I don't like the way people use that as like a put down.
Yes.
Like people are saying it as an insult. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like that he's continuously thinking of matches that have their, like, will be cool to see, and styles make fights and thinking about it from that aspect, and then letting the storyline play out from the match.
I like it because if you're looking, if they ever was really to the sports presentation, he should be a matchmaker. He shouldn't be just the book. Like that should be what wrestlers, like their strength is wrestling. So with their strength being wrestling, yeah, he should be a matchmaker. Like, I don't get it. Like that's not a bad thing, but also the people who say that usually hate wrestling.
I don't think that's true. I
not
think
hate
that's
wrestling, but they put the matches secondary, so they don't feel like matches.
They have a certain very narrow-minded view of wrestling, and it frankly was trained by Vince McMahon. That this is the only wrestling that matters, and the way I do wrestling is the only way that matters. And it's such a shame that mindset has taken such a deep grip, because you get a match like Dragunov versus Ricochet, and point your little ears out into the world, ladies and gentlemen. Do you hear anybody saying about Dragunov and Ricochet? Well, what's the story getting into it? No, they booked that match. And I haven't watched Raw yet. I fell asleep at 5:00 yesterday. I'm working crazy days right now on the hill. I'm watching it today. I'm watching it for that match. Okay. And there's no story going on there. But boy, George, do I want to see Ricochet versus Dragunov. Match that has never happened before and is a perfect collision of styles. A Dragunov intensity versus Ricochet high flying.
It was funny. So one of my friends, who I know they're not crazy about WWE, but they still watch, loosely. They was like, that's such a fucking fire match. That was such a fucking fire match, like the way it went. But then the funny part, just to be funny, they was like, they're never gonna let him touch CM Punk. They're never gonna let Ilya Dragunov. They're never gonna let him touch CM Punk.
And also, that's kind of a good thing if we're being honest, because like he'll get hurt. CM Punk is at a point like where he is injury prone, and I don't mean that as an insult. Like I'm not trying to be a dickhead about it. Like they can't wrestle. Like they can't. Like he'll more than likely get hurt.
Yes, I think people forget. And my thing, brief tangent, but my thing with the CM Punk injury prone thing is that's what happens when you lay away from something for 7 years and then you try to jump back into it in your mid 40s, and your body has relaxed from the callus that you have built it to be able to do it. Like, yes, has Danielson been hurt? Yeah, but also Danielson's not been nearly as like Danielson's injuries have not been nearly as bad as Punk's injuries. Like Punk has missed more time in the last 3 years than Danielson has. because
Interesting.
Danielson has been, his body is used to it. And Danielson's been wrestling the way more physical matches.
Yeah.
Like, he did a fucking Iron Man match.
6 minutes, maybe.
Well, technically
And
65.
we were talking about, we were talking about like subspecies, substrains of wrestlers. Like Dragunov is like that strain of wrestler who like thinks wrestling is real, like which is also a very unique brand. Like you have him, you have there's someone who's I'm trying to think of right now, and it's just like eluding me.
That believes wrestling's real?
Yeah, that wrestles and performs like wrestling is real.
Eddie Kingston. Kingston gives.
Oh, Eddie Kingston. Yeah, Eddie Kingston for sure.
For sure.
That's a really good one. And
sometimes Osprey. Sometimes Osprey can
Goldberg.
give me
Goldberg in not a good way.
That son of a bitch. He's been annoying the fuck out of me lately. Oh man, I'm like, get the old man away from the microphones of podcasts, please. I'm like, oh man, but no.
Oh, Minoru Suzuki.
Minoru Suzuki. You know what it is? Minoru Suzuki has mastered what is like. He's just one of the old school masters of like giving you kayfabe, because he looks like he'll be a sweet man if you meet him outside the ring, but he also looks like the minute that he has to be in black tights and a fucking black towel over his head, he's a murderer. Like, he doesn't give you anything different.
Josh Barnett.
Yeah, I give you Mox. Mox gives me sometimes that he don't like. Moxley can give me feelings sometimes where it's just like,
well, so here's the difference: is like Mox is authentic.
Yes.
But there's a difference between like it makes it feel authentic and makes it feel real. And they may genuinely believe that pro wrestling is real. Like nobody told them
right
that this is all like
that's true.
A work. We're working here.
Yeah.
And that against like Ricochet, who has like all of the like who's the biggest thing lobbed against him has been it looks too rehearsed, choreographed, is a brilliant matchup, because now you're taking like the authenticity, the ruggedness, the genuineness of a Dragunov performance and putting it against the acrobatics, the practice acrobatics of a Ricochet, and let's see what happens. Let's see what story develops from that.
It was a good match. I would recommend anybody to go watch it. I'm very interested in what's going to happen in the next episode, because like it looks like they're building towards Gunther versus Ilya in the semifinal match for in the like Raw bracket final match.
Yeah.
But that also means next week would be Ilya versus Jey Uso. And I'm like, so y'all been pushing Jey Uso as the number one pick here for Raw. Is he going to drop to Ilya? Like, is he going to take the pin? Because you've been kind of pushing Jey Uso as like this very important character. I'm interested to see how they do.
Yeah. And now you have
I don't want to see Ilya take that loss so early.
And now you have great wrestling, and great story develops simply from the matches, where you have Jey Uso following up on his number one draft pick by winning a bunch of matches, and you have young upstart from NXT who's on a hot streak and has blown through the roster. And it's a storyline that occurs organically. From the matches. Like, you get a little bit of a butt rest from the draft picks and NXT and all that shit, but it's really told through the matches.
Yeah, for the most part, totally agree, man. But what's on your heart, Jack?
Have you ever watched Woman of Wrestling? Wow.
I think I've only seen an episode. I did like the way it was shot, but I think I only watched like an episode of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, it's the closest thing we have right now to Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
Like, where it's a wrestling television show rather than a wrestling show. Like, the matches are like 5 minutes more or less and like heavily edited. And I mean, they're still super fun to watch, but the production and the setup of the characters, and they're creating their characters from scratch. They're creating new characters in the World of Wrestling universe, Woman of Wrestling universe, excuse me. Like that part is super cool. Like it needs more love too. Like it bothers me. Like they had like 2 seasons of it on an airplane, and I watched like both seasons and then went home and like watched it at home. And they're doing better production in some aspects than WWE and AEW on a much more limited budget. I would say WWE, when Kevin Dunn was running it, they were doing better production than WWE was on a literal fraction of a budget. A fraction of their budget. And obviously, I know it's harder in WWE because the show is live and you're traveling all the time.
Of course.
World of Wrestling is shot in a studio. But still, it's fucking phenomenal. And it doesn't get enough love. And the matches are good. They're 5 minutes. They're cut. Whatever. They're still good. They still have my interest.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of like... what was that? No, you go ahead.
Where did you find it? Like, where did you watch it on? Because I'm like, maybe I'll watch some after this.
There's some on YouTube, and it's actually free on Amazon Prime, and it's free on Pluto TV, which, like, if you have a Roku TV, you can just, like, download Pluto TV and, like, run it.
Okay, but I'm going to check some out. Because you know what? I'm not even going to lie. Like, I only watched one episode. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like how they do it. And then it's just... life just threw me off of it because I'm already digesting so much wrestling. And I think that could just be what the issue is. There's so much wrestling to fucking digest.
There's a lot of wrestling.
And this one's not on your regular, and it's not on your regular TV, like service. Like already Impact being on Access kind of makes it like a distant fourth thing I may watch. But it's like
you're not watching Impact. Just say it. Just say it. It's okay. No, nobody can judge you here. It's a safe place.
One of those. No. I do watch Impact here and there. I just don't watch it consistently. Like I probably watch one Impact show a month, and then I'll watch a pay-per-view.
When was the last time you watched Impact?
This past week was it Under Siege? Under Siege, where Jonathan Gresham faced Kushida. Like I watched some of the pay-per-view, but I do remember Jonathan Gresham facing Kushida because I was confused because he had a mask that looked like Great Muta was on. So like Jonathan Gresham's wrestling with a mask now, and it's weird. You know what I mean? Like Jonathan Gresham in a mask. He's like. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I don't really want to see Jonathan Gresham in a mask.
So what it is, just to give you a quick summary, like you see the mask he usually comes out with, like the octopus mask.
Yeah.
So it's like an updated version where just the tentacles comes off, and then he wrestles with the rest of it on. So it looks kind of cool. Like it sounds crazy, but it looks kind of cool.
All right. I can roll with it.
But the way we got there, the storyboard in which we got there was a little weird. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Also, I watched Jordan Grace versus Mayu Yamashita. I forget. I hope I don't butcher her name. But she had a really good match against her on Thursday. So I'm watching. It's just, am I watching like how I watch AEW and Raw? No.
I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like a like name 5 Vic Mensa songs moment.
Don't make me do that. I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, and I've been caught in it too. It's like, yeah, I'm a Vic Mensa fan. I like his music, and then somebody asks you like, what's 5 songs? Not even as a challenge, just as not even in a gatekeeping way. It's like, come on, do you really watch Impact? Like, come on.
I watch it loosely. I'm not gonna lie. Broken Matt Hardy in the title picture definitely didn't help me. It definitely was me like, all right, ejectocito, cuz it's time to hit the ejectocito, cuz. I was so perplexed. I'm like, let me get this straight. Broken Matt Hardy is getting a shot at Moose before Mike Bailey? Oh, no. Oh, fuck out of here. I'm ejected. I'm ejected.
Matt Hardy has been 7 years and 2 companies since Matt Hardy had his broken run in Impact, TNA,
Oh,
whatever.
shit.
And he came back. It was immediately like number 1 contender.
And now that you said it, I didn't even think about the fact it's been 7 years. Like, you just said it, and I realized, holy shit, it has been 7 years.
Yeah.
Because they came back.
Since the last broken Matt Hardy, like final deletion or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Not since like it started, not since it peaked, since the last one.
Shit. Yeah, I think that's what turned me off, because I'm just like, bro, like, I get it.
Because they can never get out of their own way, so you just can't get invested.
It's like the minute they build up like anticipation for me, I'm just like, fuck. Why you keep shooting yourself in the foot?
Why do you have to do this to me? Why do you have to do this to yourself?
Like, I'm like, I want to love you. I want to support you. I used to watch you guys when you used to be on TSN Sports and all this other shit, and I had to find crazy streams to fucking watch it. I was there when Petey Williams was hitting the Canadian Destroyers. I was there.
You were there first. You were there when they landed on the moon. I saw a meme.
I was there when you first debuted on Spike. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing...
I still think they should bring the 6-sided ring back. The meme where
I've heard wrestlers say, fuck no.
AJ Styles loved it.
AJ Styles loves it, but a lot of wrestlers like, do you know how fucking... They're like, a regular ring is already stiff to bump on. Do you know how fucking stiff 6 sides of that bitch is? You know how stiff...
I want to get back to Love and Up. Wow. And they're on there. I just looked because they are on YouTube. All of their episodes, like their latest episodes, are on YouTube.
Okay, bet.
They've got it broken down into like, if you want to watch just the matches, they have background vignettes. They got a lot of shit going on in there, and they have really cool characters. I wanted to remind myself their names. Samantha Smart does excellent character work. They have this boxing based character, and I talked last week about how much I love how much I love striking based wrestlers.
Yeah,
they got this chick BK Rhythm, who is a little cringeworthy in like a rap gimmick, a white girl rap gimmick, but she makes it work. She does. She makes it work. She's not so obtuse about it that like you want to throw a remote through the television screen.
Okay. Like, I'll tell you this. Look, the bar is simple for me. Is it better than NWA?
Like as a television program?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Then then I'm willing to watch a whole season.
Women of Wrestling is everything NWA like wants to be. They're doing studio wrestling, and they're doing it way better than NWA is. And you know what? They haven't thrown away a television deal on a cocaine spot yet, so they got that going for them.
Boy, we could talk. Listen. When NXT debuts on CW, we would probably revisit that lovely moment again as just being like, well, this is the most boneheaded moment of all fucking time.
It's the best moment in professional wrestling history. I don't know what you're talking about. It was for you. Yeah, for sure. For someone who like loves to see the world burn, of course.
Exactly.
Like to punt, to even risk, like to know you got that deal in your back pocket and to take that risk of like knowing you're looking to get on network television and maybe they're not going to be so happy about this, and to go ahead with it anyways so that your announcers could watch it and go, "Ooh, looks like someone's having a good time." Bravo. You don't care about nothing.
I wish, for the people who listen on the podcast, go back on the YouTube and listen to Jack when he says that, and look at the joy of watching something burst up to death. Because it's just like you don't get that often. You really don't.
They got this one. Their best wrestler is this woman, the Beast, who's just a fucking monster, just shredded to the gills. Really good wrestler.
Was she a powerhouse?
Yes. I think she was their first champion too. They have a tag team division as well. They have Tonga twins, who I think they have Samoan. I'm pretty sure they're family affiliated.
I've heard about the Tonga twins.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've had good matches against the Mother Truckers. Yeah.
So they have a tag belt, which I'm going to figure they have a tag division. They have a main title. Do they have a mid-card title?
No.
Okay. I can respect it. I can understand it.
Two beautiful championships. If that doesn't sell you on a company, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not bothered by titles, Jack. That's you. I'm okay with titles.
Okay. Oh, Candy Crush was the wrestler I was thinking of before.
Okay.
Who has striking-based wrestling, and she's damn good at it too.
Okay, bet. I'm gonna check it out.
Coach Campanelli is another one who has does great character work and brings it into their wrestling really well.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
You know what they do? They just bring a lot of life to wrestling. Both like the production and the wrestlers themselves. It never feels trite.
Forced.
It never feels run of the mill, never feels forced. They come out and the crowd is super into it too. And you just feel really involved in it. You want to cheer for the company, of course, but you want to cheer for the wrestlers in a really organic way. Like when the face wins, you're really excited about it. You smile. You fucking smile. Like, which is even when the face wins in wrestling, like you don't often do that. Like I'm able to separate myself from my knowledge of like how wrestling works and like I'm able to cheer just for the sake of cheering and boo just for the sake of booing with Woman of Wrestling more than I am with AEW. And I'm not saying I like WoW better. I'm just able to separate these things more because it feels so organic.
I was going to ask you, is that due to the presentation? Like the way that it's presented? Like, not just that we know it's recorded, but the way that they kind of like line up things. Like how they line up their stories, how they line up their people, how they line up and present certain things.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely it's easier to, I'm acknowledging that again, because it's cut up and it's edited and it's not done live. But but they also line it up. Their edit, their production, their television show creating is done for that purpose, and they achieve their goal. Like I had a film professor tell me once, one of the best I ever had. Like I asked him, like, what do you think is about like So Bad It's Good movies? And he said, as long as the director is achieving their objective. Yeah. And I'm not saying why it was so bad it's good. I'm saying that they have an objective and work towards it really well and achieve it far more than they do not.
Gotcha. I can understand that. Fully get it.
Mm-hmm. And now for our discussion topic, let's take it away from the joy and towards the evil. Drake and Kendrick had a rap beef this week. This past few weeks. The past 10 years, if you've been paying attention.
Yeah, it's been going on since at least 2013.
It's a Cold War that got hot in the past month or so.
I would say it got hot late March, and then it turned extremely boiling hot last week.
This was like if the Cuban Missile Crisis had pushed the Soviet Union and America to war.
Yes. And I can only tell you, as a person who's listened to hip-hop for 30-something years of my life, like I've been listening to hip-hop. I grew up in the neighborhood that Biggie Smalls lived in. So, in my life, I have met Biggie Smalls. In my lifetime, we used to have a photo of me and him.
Get the fuck out of here.
He knew me. He used to rap on my porch, like on my, not my porch, but my stoop. Like he would rap with my stepdad, and He was like, I lived the next block down from his mom. Like
when he was big, or like before he blew up?
this is like
Just
into
curious.
it, like middle into it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was like right before everything, and then once he blew up, yeah. But he was always around in the block parties,
Like kind of like right before Ready to Die.
Yeah. So
Okay.
as a kid, being like 4 or 5, I've seen him. I knew who he was. Like went to elementary school with Lil Caesar's nephew was like one of my friends growing up and everything like that from like all that shit.
Yeah.
I have never seen something transpire the way I transpire over this past weekend.
Just such a murder of an icon.
It was honestly, you know, I think about wrestling moments, right? And I feel like wrestling.
Well, that was going to be my discussion topic for this week: is what is the wrestling equivalent of the Drake versus Kendrick beef, where you have the two biggest stars who are also opposite ends of their artistic spectrum. Like, and it's always been their argument of like, you have the critically beloved artist and you have the commercially beloved artist, and that exists in almost every art form. But when it comes to, like, I would say Kendrick and Drake, and you have them on the opposite ends of the spectrum, they're heading towards each other, and it almost felt inevitable. But for the two people to be on top of those two types of art, well, let's say ends of the spectrum, for one to just win it so outright. Like, I don't know if you saw the news today, it's still not confirmed, but there is a substantiated rumor that UMG and OVO, who's in charge of OVO? Are or is UMG is
like the
parent company of and who does it for Kendrick? Kendrick's parent
by himself.
No, he has a parent company, but he has a parent company that distributes his music. Like, they're not like, he's not signed to a contract to them. Yes,
he's doing the license. So
the point is, they've like now stepped in and asked Kendrick to put it down, to like squash it. Which, if it's gotten that bad, the other side has lost. Like, that Drake has lost. If your parent company is stepping in and be like, hey, your downfall is costing us money, then you've had a downfall, and it's raps for you, my guy. And if it is, has there ever been, and if so, what are they, a wrestling rivalry that has paralleled the Drake and Kendrick beef?
I don't feel like you can just use a rivalry. I think we have to use very certain moments to encapsulate this.
You can even use companies. I'll throw that out there as well. You can use promotions and companies and whatever.
I'm going to break this down for all wrestling fans, right? But before that, so in music, there's like 3 real major record labels that are left. Like, everything else is like a subsidiary under those big 3 record labels. UMG is one of those 3 big record labels, and they have a deal directly with Drake. Supposedly, the deal with Drake is 9 figures. So they don't just have like a little investment in Drake. No. They have the biggest investment they ever had in an artist with Drake. Not just that, but Drake has investments in deals with like Nike, all this other stuff, right?
Kendrick, and he's the golden goose right now in a waning period of music. Exactly. And I don't like everybody saying like this is like the death rattle of music, or like it's just a waning period. We've had boom and bust periods throughout the history.
Everything has
there will be great periods again. Yeah. I think we just got out of a golden era too. Like, into the late 10s was a huge quality boom of music, to the point where 2 new genres of rap, trap and drill, were formed. And now we're going through a wane, and that's fine. But the golden goose from that golden era
is Drake.
Is taken out. Yes. Drake. Sorry, go on.
And what it is with Kendrick is Kendrick licenses his music through Interscope. They are not signed. He's not signed to a record contract. He just has a licensing deal. So that means they just put his music out. but they don't really actually make money like that off of him. Like, you know what I'm saying? They get a portion, but not as big as like when a Drake does something. So if I had to say, Euphoria was kind of like CM Punk's debut at AEW. Like, you knew it's coming. Like, you knew Kendrick was going to respond.
Yeah.
And you just wonder what the moment would feel like. And would it be really good? And would it be really great? And Euphoria is so good. It's so great. You're like, holy shit. Because the thing is, in hip-hop, Kendrick has never been in a battle this public. Like, most of it is pretty much before he became a big name. So to have this name was one of the biggest.
No, you have Meek Mill and Drake.
Well, that's for Drake, but I mean for Kendrick, no one's heard Kendrick have a battle like this.
Yeah.
No one.
Okay.
So that's the big thing. So then it was like, holy shit, this is really good, right? Then I would say when he did the 616 in LA, which was like a back-to-back disc. That was like, if I'm gonna keep going with this one just for here, it was CM Punk, MJF, Dog Collar, and Revolution. It was like an encapsulating story, because now he's told the story of Drake has a mold.
But what does this have to do with like wrestling rivalry?
It's kind of. Hold on. Let me get there.
Okay.
Let me work up there.
Okay.
I'm just painting the picture of moments. Meet the Grams is the Undertaker streak getting broken. Like that moment of shock. Because every time you see somebody listen to that song for the first time, there's like a utter horror. The guy whose eyes is like this,
yeah,
even heavy. There is that moment. And then They Not Like Us is Suplex City. It's pretty much that moment where John Cena's getting his ass just tossed around. To me, though, if I'm putting this in a simple rivalry, right, I would have to say.
I want to ask you something before you give us the rivalry one, and if we're doing like a 1-to-1 like wrestling moment to song, which I really, really do love. What is Family Matters, which is a great song with a lot of great points in there that is almost immediately buried. It's got to be like a match on a legendary card that is like forgotten about because it got beaten by like a huge moment or whatever.
I'm trying to think.
It's tough to bring right up off the dome. I understand that.
I'm almost want to say it's Lucha Bros Young Bucks cage match All In 2021, because it's a great match. But then you have Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson debut at the end, and it's just like, oh my fucking god, that's all I can think about.
That's a really, really good one.
Like that's that is that. That's that 1-to-1, because it's just like, holy shit. Because listen, if I'm being honest, and I'm a Kendrick fan, I like good music, period. But I am more of a Kendrick fan than a Drake fan, because I feel Drake's just been phoning it in lately. But
yeah,
Family Matters is the best Drake has rapped in so long. And it is great. It just gets fucking shotgun blasted within a half an hour. It is just completely murdered. And then it's just But if I had to pick a rivalry for it,
okay,
it would have to be Brock Lesnar, John Cena after Brock Lesnar. Like, actually, just Brock Lesnar, John Cena.
Yeah.
Just Brock Lesnar, John Cena.
That was the first one that came to my mind. I also wanted to throw out, oh shoot, I just had it and lost it. I wanted to make sure I want to have the names right. But anyways, I would go actually not wrestler to wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go company to company. Ooh. I'm going to say what ECW did to NWA, which is, I don't just hate you. I hate the idea of you.
Yep.
I'm going to try to make sure that you never exist again.
Yeah.
Which is what like ECW did. Okay, so the one I was thinking of was Ricochet versus Adam Cole overshadowing Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano.
Oh yeah, I was there.
In the moment, it seemed like Ciampa and Gargano was the one to be remembered, but
Because they had the better story.
Yes, but when you think about like NXT Takeover Brooklyn, the first thing that comes to your mind is Ricochet Adam Cole for the North American Championship, and Adam Cole hitting that super kick on Ricochet mid backflip.
Yeah, that might. Yeah.
But back to the ECW NWA thing, like when Shane Douglas like threw that shit in the trash and picked up the ECW belt, like that's your meet the Grams moment of this is a shift and this is an evisceration. Like we want it, like Kendrick, this is not beef to Kendrick. He hates Drake and he hates the idea of Drake. He wants there to never be another Drake again.
Here's the thing. Not to cut you off, but here's the thing that keeps catching me all the time that makes me laugh about this whole thing. In each of the songs before we get to Meet the Grams, there is simply a warning. Keep it fucking friendly, and I don't have to do this. This is, you know, the fuck around
lies and find about out me. Chart. I won't tell truths about you.
You remember the fuck around find out chart? Where it's just like when you get to this point of this is what happened when you went to number 10 on fuck around and then fucking found out. And oh man, actually, you know what? If I had to really describe this, and it just came to my mind, this is King of the Ring 97 Hell in a Cell. Like, they seem to have a good rivalry. We don't think it's gonna go too crazy. Why y'all going to the top of the Hell to say, oh, Jesus Christ, fucking Mankind's dead?
Well, I guess just, I mean, also in the idea, something Meltzer wrote about at the time, where it's like, this is a seismic shift, a paradigm shift, if you will, of what like wrestling is going to be allowed to do and what fans expect. They're the next great rap, like for years and years and years and years and years and years, the benchmark for rap disses was Hit 'Em Up. Kind of Ether, but Ether is more remembered for its like dichotomy against Takeover.
the way you said Ether and you said Ether, because I know Ether is probably the right way to say it.
That's the white way of saying it.
But that's what I was about to say. That probably is the proper way to say the fucking word.
Versus Takeover. But that's like that's more remembered for it to be like a great moment of two great songs. But in terms of like just one like 360 windmill dunking at home, like the benchmark has been Hit 'Em Up for like 30 years now. And now there's a new one. There's a shift. There's a seismic shift. There's a paradigm shift.
Here's how you know this. And then the reason why I would say King of the Ring 97, right? By either later this week or sometime next week, it's possible that the number one song is telling Drake, certified lover boy, certified pedophile, maybe the number one song in the country. Actually, have not tweeted. I was going to tweet this out. Have not tweeted. It's in my drafts. I was in a class with my students after school, and someone asked me to play Not Like Us on my Bluetooth speaker. And when the kids are asking for that to play,
when the kids betray Drake,
night, it was playing during the end. The kids have betrayed Drake. The NBA playoffs are playing it. It's pretty.
It's in the Los Angeles Dodgers like pregame mix. A minor.
It ain't no coming back.
Yeah, and like
it's in the Dodgers pregame mix, right?
Yeah. NWA disappeared for like 15 years. It popped up in 2019 and it actually had a really good run of shows before quarantine, and now has gone back to sucking. And so, like, are we about to watch this with Drake, where it's like, are you about to just disappear from the face of the earth? Like, because once Shane Douglas threw down that NWA belt and declared ECW the world title, NWA vanished.
Good question.
The NWA vanished, never recovered in ECW. Following year, sold to Paul Heyman, became Extreme Championship Wrestling, and became, to this day, there's ECW chants all the fucking time. Remembered forever. Remembered forever, with the catalyst being you destroyed another company. For you to ascend, you crushed what was before you. And you eviscerated this idea of old school wrestling. You eviscerated this idea of the old school pop magnet to ascend. Because, like, this is Kendrick's.
Right. And I think, honestly, that's what we could look at this as. Like, this is. Sorry, you froze. You was kind of freezing in and out for a second. It was kind of freezing.
Sorry. Because, like, this is Kendrick's first big hit. And I mean commercially, in a while. So it's there.
Since Humble. Yeah.
Since Humble, which, so let's say that was 2 albums ago. And about 4 or 5 years ago,
like 2017. Funny enough, we just said 7 years since Broken Matt Hardy. It's been 7 years since Humble came out.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah. You got been Kendrick for 5 years.
Yeah. So actually, wait, no, I skipped it out. It's been 3 albums. Was Humble on Damn? Yes, no, actually, so 2 albums. Fuck.
Yes.
Sorry. No, I missed it.
Yeah.
So it's
it's
an evisceration of an entire idea through the popularization of another.
Here's the funny thing, and this is a part I had this discussion with someone. Like, this is a stain that's not coming off Drake, right? Like, this ain't a stain that's just gonna magically disappear. If Drake changes, it's because Kendrick made him change. So either way, you end up giving that man a victory.
Yeah, and NWA couldn't change. It's Kendrick. Tell him where to find.
So you can find me everywhere. Life of Deem. You can also find our lovely podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Wrestling with Wromance, all one word. We're still taking people's stories for our romantic stories in the beginning. So we are taking that. Make sure you share that with us.
Stories and questions. I want to give people bad advice. I want to give people bad advice.
That is what Jack wants to do. I am share. Jack, tell them where they can find you.
Jack Simon on Twitter and Instagram, jacksimonmakes.com for all my artistic putouts.
Yes. And then we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.